Eagles signed a new player, a rookie shines, and there are jerseys that are being auctioned off that are a bit interesting. This is another episode of Training Camp Diaries. Guys, if you're new around this channel and do enjoy this content, make sure to leave a like and hit that subscribe button, and don't forget to drop your comments down below on all the topics we discussed today. And as always, if you are not yet checking out phillysportsnetwork.com for your daily dose of Philadelphia sports coverage, now's the time to do so. What have you got to lose? If your name is Travis Fulgham, it's more a question of what have you got to gain. The Eagles, believe it or not, signed a player. Without thinking about it too much, I want you to put a wild guess out there into what position it could be. Would it be a linebacker where they need help? Would it be a defensive end where depth is light? Or maybe even looking at somewhere like defensive tackle where Javon Hargrave has suffered a recent injury? No, it's another wide receiver. That's 12 they've got now. That's 12 of an 80-man roster. That's 12 receivers. I don't know. I know as much as you do, all right? Man in question is Travis Fulgham, a man who is now 24 years old and was a 6th-round draft pick last year of the Detroit Lions. Formerly played his college ball at Old Dominion, where he had 1,083 yards in his final season. And at 6'2", 215 pounds, he does have a very similar sort of frame and build and athletic skill set to J.J. Arcega-Whiteside. At least if you go to the mock draftable spider charts, that's what it will tell you. So in my opinion, I think this move has been made because maybe one of the coaching staff or front office members have gone, hey, Alshon Jeffrey's not here right now. We ideally want 2 players at each position. So if you think at Z receiver, you've got Deshaun Jackson, Jalen Reagor. At Y, you're going to have Greg Ward Jr. and then maybe someone like Quez Watkins. They don't have that second X receiver. It's just J.J. Arcega-Whiteside, who himself has been battling some injury this week. So I think bringing someone in of that same stature enables you to carry the same base throughout your lineup, which is absolutely pivotal considering that you're not really going to be able to have too much in the way of competitive action or snaps or preseason. There's none of that. OTAs are gone. There's no preseason. You want as much familiarity, as many of the patterns you can take from top of the roster to the bottom as you can, the better. I think that's why Fulgham may have been signed. And in preseason last year, he led the Lions in receiving yards at a 52-yard catch and also put up 147 yards before briefly moving on to Green Bay and whatever excuses they've got for wide receivers at the moment. So I fully understand the move. The Eagles have struck while the iron's hot. They've plucked relatively high upside receivers, someone that could be rotating off of that expanded practice squad this year and that fits that mold of a stockier receiver. We know they went all in on speed. If you forget Marquise Goodwin sitting out the season, you had Goodwin, Jackson, Reagor. Obviously, then you take on Quez Watkins. We forget Greg Ward Jr. is not the slowest. And then you have John Hightower. That's the man I want to come to next. But it was so loaded with speed where you want to make sure you've got a balance. And I think that even if it's just for a few weeks, Fulgham adds that. Now, if you've been around this channel for any amount of time, you'll know why there is a lovely smile on my face right now. Because it's almost as if I've been trying to say, I told you so, since before the NFL draft. For a complete timeline, we put out a video ranking my top 20 receivers that fit the Eagles ahead of the NFL draft. And the biggest wild card of all, the man who soared in that ranking far beyond the round in which he was predicted to be drafted, was Boise State's John Hightower, a man whose tape I fell massively in love with. And when he was drafted by the Eagles, my reaction was absolutely electric on our live stream. In case you've forgotten, you're welcome.
Fixed now.
Alright, so they go from 164. Okay, interesting.
John Hightower.
The boys! Come on! I've got a draft crush as an Eagle! Go on! John Hightower, you legend!
Yes!
Go on! Oh my god! Sorry if you've lost any hearing ability after that. I promise it wasn't intentional. But today, John Hightower balls out. And what I've done is I've taken to Twitter. I just want to say that these clips come from John McCullen, Tim McManus or Tim McManus again. So I'm just going to sit back and we're just going to watch John Hightower go to work because it's poetry in motion, lads. I think I'm in love. I think I'm in love. Seriously, like, I'm predicting such big things for this guy. Like, I'll be heartbroken if it doesn't pan out. Now, I understand he's a 5th round pick. I understand that his road to a lot of offensive snaps as a rookie may be a little bit more chaotic than most, but I'm so willing him on. Like, I've never wanted to root for a player as much as this outside of Captain Cravon. It's just amazing to see Hightower break out. He's put Darius Slay on skates, which I am all for. I really cannot wait to see what this kid can do in his rookie year. One man I was hoping to see more from, though, was honestly Sidney Jones, who was out today with an injury, which only further cements Avonte Maddox as a CB2, which is bad news. I mean, I was expecting a really close battle between these two. I made a whole video on it. It took me like 3 days to make the video. Maddox, Jones, the skill sets, I was buzzing for it. I thought this would be really intense in training camp, and it's been a one-horse race. Avonte Maddox has got his name written all over it. Now, Cravon LeBlanc, meanwhile, had a good day at the office. That's fantastic. We stand Captain Cravon. But Sidney Jones, there's a really interesting quote from Mark and Manuel that says you wanted to see 3 things from Sidney Jones this year: accountability, commitment, and hard work. Now, we obviously can't comment on those, but he's not on the field, and when he has been on the field, he's really struggled. It's not looking good. It's not looking good for someone in his contract year, knowing you've got a younger, cheaper, more contract leveragey corner sat behind you who's currently ahead of you on the depth chart. It's just not a vibe. We also saw a little bit of the Carson Wentz to Jalen Reagor connection with some nice receptions towards the end of practice, and that is all fans could ever want to see. If there is ever a connection that fans want to see really ripen this year, it's that between the quarterback and a 1st round pick wide receiver. Now, sure, I can fanboy over John Hightower and we can really speak about the steal the team may have in Kes Watkins, but it's Jalen Reagor that has everyone's attention, and to see him really grow into this camp is interesting. Also, Carson Wentz back to normal. No one batters an eyelid, which proves that the fluke the other day, don't worry about it, lads, just a bad day at the office, okay? It happens to all of us. And even Kayvon Wallace made a splash today, making a diving pass breakup on a pass intended for Josh Perkins. The Clemson safety also starting to turn heads. His first interception came 2 days ago on August 18th. He is now back, making plays once again. And the entire rookie class is looking like, I don't want to jinx it, but they're looking really, really good. Like, Jalen Hurts has earned praise. All 3 receivers have earned praise. Kayvon Wallace has. I mean, the only one we have heard nothing about at all is Casey Toohill, and that's a 7th round pick. But while we're talking defensive ends, it was actually Joe Ostman who stole the show today. And in the words of John McCullen, was a terror in pass rush drills. Now that, I like that. That's good. Ostman is someone, of course, that is coming off of a torn ACL, could really benefit from those extra reps, and was so close to making the 53-man roster last year until the heartbreak emerged. I would love to see him really step up in a situation like this, where we know the depth is light, where we know he could have a real chance to steal some defensive snaps. Whether he'll know he'll do it, only time will tell, but he is at least putting in that work in training camp for what feels like the millionth preseason in a row. And on that note, guys, it's time to call it a day. I hope you've enjoyed today's Training Camp Diaries video. If you have, stick around for more, alright? We're not going anywhere. From myself, Liam Jenkins, I'll see you soon.